Hello everybody and welcome back to Teachers Talk Money, where I help teachers master their money in order to give back to themselves. Today I am filming this video in my new apartment and it's going to be a very quick update on just all of the money that I spent moving to this new apartment. I like these kind of videos because I think they're helpful when people are trying to create a budget for something. Now, of course, it's going to look different for literally every single person, but these are all the costs that I personally accrued when moving to another apartment. For context, I did move from DC to Maryland, so there are a couple of costs here that have to do with like changing my license, changing my plates on my car, and all of that good stuff. So those would probably only be applicable if you are moving to a different state. But a lot of these costs are going to probably be applicable to everyone. And something interesting about this move in particular, it is the first time that I ever hired movers to help me. Usually I just kind of use the army that is my family to help me move all my stuff. But we moved to a walk-up that does not have an elevator, and we did not want to deal with all the flights of stairs in addition to all of the normal stressors of moving. And so we decided to hire movers, and I had no idea what that was going to cost because, like I said, I just didn't have any experience with that previously. For today's video, I'm just going to include the one-time expenses that have to do with moving itself. I'm not going to talk about like first month's rent and all of that because that basically was an expense I had already budgeted for. So let's get started. The first few costs are the security deposit. That was $62.50 for my half of that because I did move with my partner Brian. So actually a lot of these are just going to represent my half of what we paid and not the entire full cost. If you want to see the full cost, you would probably multiply a lot of these by 2, although some of them are specific to me. Then for the application fee, my half was $30, that was $60 total. For the moving company, which was probably one of the biggest costs of the move, my half was $420, so total it was $840. It was about a 45-minute drive, and then the rest of the time that we paid them for was what it actually took to move the furniture and package the furniture in with their equipment and all of that good stuff. I have to say, it is a lot of money to set aside. However, it was honestly incredibly worth it to me and to Brian to have people do this labor for us. So I'm actually really glad that we outsourced that this time because it just would have been a lot walking up a bunch of stairs with all of our heavy furniture. We also had to reserve parking in DC so that the moving truck had somewhere to park on the street outside of our apartment. That was $45 total, and so my half was $22.50. Now, these next couple of costs, at least 2 of them, are very just specific to me. So one of these was new purchases. There were just a couple things that we needed to get new or replace. And so some of this number is my half, and some of it is things that I bought entirely on my own. So for example, I had to get a desk because I did not previously have a desk at our old apartment, and I wanted one for our new office space that we have in this apartment, and so I paid for a desk and a desk chair. I also got a second smaller desk to go in the closet in our office, which is where I will be podcasting. And so my half of a lot of new purchases plus the total cost of certain other purchases came out to $487, so that's what I personally spent. I also had to change my license. I had to get a Maryland license in place of a DC license, and that was $72. And then we have this amenity fee for the apartment. So something really weird about this apartment that I just didn't see in any of the other apartments we were looking at was there was this huge upfront amenity fee of $400, so $200 for my half. And I thought that was super weird because it's just a huge chunk of money up front. Now, that being said, we have a 14-month lease here, so if you divide 400 by 14, it actually only comes out to about $28.50 a month for both of us, which is not crazy. I saw many amenity fees that were monthly at other apartments that were much higher than that, or at least like equivalent to that. And so it didn't actually come out to be a lot. It just was a kind of a huge number to look at up front and say, oh my gosh, we have to pay $400 for the amenities. But like I said, the monthly cost isn't a lot, and it's pretty nice to have these amenities. One of the reasons we moved here was because it was an apartment that had a dog park available for Hattie, and it's cool to also have access to a pool and a gym and all of that good stuff. And something also about this is I have not actually paid the amenity fee yet because they paused it since many of the amenities were shut down for COVID reasons. They're up and running again now, so I'm not totally sure when they're actually going to have us pay that, but they said that they'll be reinstating it soon. So that is still a pending amount of money that we have to put in. So all of the total one-time costs together came out to $1,294, which is quite a lot of money. And I have to say, if we can avoid moving for a while in the future, that will be ideal, because it is just a lot to pay this amount of money fairly frequently. Obviously, we lived in our last apartment in DC for 2 years, but my apartment before that, I'd only lived there for 1 year. And so it just kind of can add up to be a lot if you're consistently moving all the time. The way I paid for this move, if you've been following my budget updates, is I've set aside a lot of money in a sinking fund, actually far more than we actually needed. And so I used a lot of that money for the move, and so it was pretty seamless. This money mostly came from my stipends that came at the end of the year for all of my stipend positions, which are coaching positions and sponsoring the school newspaper. So that is everything I personally spent. A lot of those, as I said, were just my half of it. So if you are moving and you are going to be living somewhere alone, these would probably be almost double what I paid. So that is something really important to keep in mind. I hope you enjoyed hearing about all my moving costs. I know I love being nosy and seeing how much everything costs for other people. I'm also going to have a little bonus video next week talking about all of the money I spent on travel this summer. So if you like these kind of money diary type videos, stay tuned, because I have another one coming at you next Tuesday, I believe. And I hope this gave you some frame of reference if you have a move coming up. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!